Very rarely do we get to witness confession through projection in its purest form. It is in fact so pure it makes Walter White's blue sky methamphetamine look like child's play. Here we have Hillary Clinton in her natural habitat, displaying the most grotesque confession through projection imaginable. Enjoy. I didn't want to show my face. Darn it. I wanted to bring myself.
He is more incoherent. He is angrier. He is lashing out all the time at everybody. He's filled with grievance and rage. And, you know, in my acceptance speech at the convention way back in 2016, I said, you know, you can't trust somebody with nuclear weapons who you can bait with a tweet, because I saw that in him at the time. A lot of people didn't, or they gave him the benefit of the doubt, or they thought, hey, you know, we've had 2 terms of a Democrat, let's try the Republicans, for whatever reason. I understand that. But now the stakes are even higher because he has a record. We have seen him try to abuse power. We have seen him try to overturn a legitimate, free, fair election. We have watched him bungle COVID and cause unnecessary deaths and pain. So he has a record. And in addition to that, he's told us what he's going to do. He is absolutely linked to this Project 2025 and all of their dark and dystopian efforts to turn the clock back on Americans' rights and the way we live and how we, you know, look at our futures together. And he has a long rhetorical record now of making it very clear that he would be unaccountable if he were ever near the White House again.
It's so painful for me to let her look at that. Look at this ugly face. Look at that. Oh, look at that. She looks like the Joker or that demonic thing from Saw. Like someone slap on the googly eyes. That. Just hold on 1 second. I want that off of her face right there. Watch again. No, I want to just. She looks like the evil villain from the movie Saw. Now, I'm always open to constructive criticism. I play these intro videos while people trickle in. I think it's more engaging than a timer, but then as people trickle in, they might have missed it. Let me know if you think a timer is better than me doing the intro rant. I don't think it is, but I'm open to constructive criticism. Let me just walk through this. Because like it's 99.999% pure confession through projection. It's but it's to the point where it's insane. Like, even if you were to confess through projection and do it unawarely, like without introspection, there lies on the matters of fact. But
he is more incoherent. He is angrier.
Incoherent? Oh my god. Okay, no, I guess that might be the projection from Joe Biden, who was just senile. But Kamala Harris, when she goes off script and forgets to, when she's like, we all know you're born a middle-class family, although 2 PhD professor parents, I think you're not exactly working class, you scoundrel, but stolen valor likes stolen valor. She is incoherent when she goes off script. Angry, lashing out. The woman lashing out is saying that Trump is lashing out.
He is lashing out all the time at everybody.
At everybody.
He's filled with grievance.
Filled with grievance. The woman who was denied being the first president woman of these United States of America has never gotten over it. Why am I not by 50 points, you might be asking? Grievances.
And rage.
Rage. First of all, I've never seen Trump more docile than I've seen him since the first failed assassination attempt. I actually think he's seen the light of God. I say that unironically, and as someone who's not, necessarily religious, although I think people are having their suspicions, he's never been more calm, serene, and accepting of the world in which we live.
And, in my acceptance speech at the convention way back in 2016, I said, you can't trust somebody with nuclear weapons who you can bait with a tweet.
And how did that prediction turn out, you raging hag of a hack? How did that prediction turn out? 2016, you can't trust him with the codes when he can be baited with a tweet. You stupid lying sack of evil. What happened in those 4 years where he had the codes and could be baited by a tweet? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Stupid. You're so stupid. If you haven't seen the movie UHF, go watch the movie UHF. I don't want to play anymore then. She is the most awful person on earth. Now I'm sharing the link to Rumble. I wanted to share the link to that tweet. Too bad that tweet has disappeared. It's on my Twitter feed. My Twitter feed is a diary of the descent of the world into madness. Can't trust him with 4 years of power because look what he did the first time around. Nothing. Peace abroad. Prosperity at home until they came in with the pandemic, which is going to come up in this stream today. 99.9999% pure confession through projection, which if I have ever set up a perfect segue into the sponsor of the show, that was it, people. Holy crab apples, I'm a genius. Because it's 99.999% pure gold. By the people, it's no secret that we live in uncertain and volatile times. The dollar is collapsing. Faith in our monetary system is at an all-time low while inflation is skyrocketing. But by the way, Trump is the risk, by the way. Look, he's got a track record. Peace abroad, prosperity at home. No skyrocketing inflation because of their idiotic proxy wars against Russia. All right. That being said, no one has a crystal ball when it comes to the truth. No one knows what's really going to happen as far as the future goes. It's really important to protect yourself financially. I give myself the insurance in investing in hard physical assets like gold and silver. Historically, gold and silver have been one of the safest investments that allows me and it would allow you to hedge your bets against runaway inflation. I urge you to take a closer look protecting yourself and your investments as well. I personally trust the fine folks at Monetary Gold. They're legit. They'll take care of you. You can roll over your IRA into silver and gold. Tell them I sent you for a limited time. You can get $5,000 in free gold and silver for qualified purchases. Sleep well at night knowing that you're protected. Give Monetary Gold a call. 1-800-476-1303. 1-800-476-1303. And the third time, so it sticks, people. 1-800-476-1303 or visit monetarygold.com. Everyone should know, disclaimer, cover my tushy. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments have risks. And speaking of protecting my tushy, I really want to, I'm going to ask the folks at Monetary Gold if they can make a 1 ounce gold suppository. So you can hide your gold if you ever had to. Use Viva 99.999% pure gold suppositories. If they can't find it, they can't get it. And then speaking of protecting yourself as well, one last sponsor for today's show, 5G Free. It's a Rumble partner. Check them out, everybody. None of us thought we'd be preparing for radiation in 2024, right? Did you see that video, the public service announcement coming out of New York? In the event of a nuclear war, whatever, take your clothes off and shower. If you haven't seen that, you've seen it because I posted on my Twitter feed. We're just trying to survive rising grocery store prices. But now, thanks to Ukraine, global chaos, and the government that's basically running us into World War III, we've got bigger things to worry about. That's where 5G by Rumble comes in. Forget your canned beans and bunker mentality for a second. What you need is Radiation Emergency Kit. It's got Radio Guard Ace, the same stuff that the government's been stockpiling since 2003. And if they're hoarding it, you know you probably should be too. It'll flush out the radiation faster than your browser clears after a questionable search. I have no questionable searches on my computer, except that which is for research. Plus, we've thrown in nausea meds because radiation sickness isn't pretty, and handy radiation monitors so that you don't end up glowing in the dark. And hey, the government's not talking about it. That means if the government's not talking about it, it means you definitely need this. It's not about being paranoid. It's about being prepared. Head to 5gfree.com. Use code VIVA, 15% off. It's times like these. You want to be prepared. A pound, what is it? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. 5G Free, building the parallel economy by partnering up with Rumble. They love free speech. They respect us. Vote with your dollar. Protect yourselves and support companies that don't take a hot steaming dump all over you every chance they get. Alrighty, people. Links are in the description, by the way. Let's get this show on the road. You guys know who Brian Lupo. I mean, you all know CannCon. Now, I'm going to ask about the name because I got AirCon. What? No, it was Con Air. There's CannCon. Sounds like a conference of. Well, okay, it sounds like the French can, the con, whatever. His real name is Brian Lupo. You probably all know him. This is gonna be our first time. Actually, I thought we had met before, but the internet can do that to you. Brian, I'm bringing you in. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, by the way, everyone share the links on Twitter. Let everyone know that we're live, and let's get this show on the road. CannCon actual, sir. How goes the battle?
It goes as well as it possibly could. I wonder if that 5G thing, if they make like a Kevlar plate to protect from exploding phones.
I've been watching, first of all, have we figured out yet if they if they planted incendiary material, or they just caused the batteries to overheat. That was the question I had yesterday, but I haven't followed up on it.
I mean, I've seen lithium ion batteries catch fire and stay burning, like nothing puts them out. You know, the Tesla's burning down here, we see all the time. To me, that looks like there's incendiary devices, or explosives planted in these devices that are triggered by something.
It's there's no I don't get off on the Schadenfreude stuff, also because I can appreciate the argument that there's no telling who has that device when it goes off, although it seems pretty well orchestrated. There is the argument that it will necessarily get civilians as in the crossfire. Flip side, steelman argument to that is when Israel drops big bombs, they say it's, you know, indiscriminate, and when they go pinpoint pager in terrorists' crotches, they're accused of, you know, violating international law. So when you leave somebody with no choices, don't leave them with no choices that are going to make you very unhappy. Wild, though. It's wild. Like, I never had a pager, but I don't even like putting this thing near my groin because it does emit frequencies, whatever people think it emits frequencies. I had a client who was an engineer for one of the Canadian companies, and he confirmed, don't keep it near your groin and don't talk to your ear with it. Yep. Brian, who are you, for those who don't know?
Yeah, so my name is Brian Lupo. I'm a podcaster at Badlands Media. I also write for the Gateway Pundit, former Marine. No such thing as a former Marine, but Marine once upon a time in a former life. And since then, you know, after the 2020 election, I just got wrapped up. I mean, something didn't fit right, you know, and I fell asleep at 2 a.m. when everybody stopped counting. I woke up and all of a sudden those numbers started going down. And so I got active in elections. I started investigating elections, started doing freedom of information requests, talking to other Americans that were doing the same thing, and started kind of aggregating and compiling all this data and all this information. And I'll never be the same. I'll never be the same.
I cannot hear that someone was a Marine and then not ask all of these questions. I got to get into, if you don't mind, I'm going to pry into your personal life upbringing just for a bit. I will not go on for half an hour. Sure. May I ask how old you are?
I am 40 years old.
You do look good, sir. You have a young, lively look to your eyes. You were born and raised where?
Right here in Florida.
And you served as a Marine. May I, siblings, and what did your parents do? Just that, and that's where I'll end there.
I've got a sister that is 15 months younger than me. And then I've got two brothers that are 15 years younger than me. One is actually a football player at FAU right down the street from you up there.
Yeah.
And
that
then
is
I have
Florida Atlantic University.
Yep. And then I have another sister that is 17 now in high school, senior in high school.
So separate marriages, or did they just wait?
Yeah.
And you, so born and raised in Florida, it's a wild thing because, like, people come here, they move down from New York, they've grown up in mountains, they've grown up with seasons. For people who were born and raised in Florida, like, what did you do during the summer as a kid? Because I presume it was as sweltering hot 30 years ago as it is now. Flat, you can't swim in the fresh water without risking parasites or gators. What do you do? Like, what does childhood in Florida look like?
Oh, you've been lied to about Florida. I swim in the water every day. We're out at Markham Park on weekends on the jet skis, fishing, boating, all that stuff. I've been an outdoors kind of person my whole life. So we do a lot of fishing down here, some hunting, that kind of stuff. But the heat doesn't bother us that much. It's at nighttime in the summer, the mosquitoes, that's the killer. During the day, we go in the water, the parasites, I've never had parasites. I've been swimming in the water my whole life. So I wouldn't swim in the water going down the canals on 95, but like when you get out into the Everglades, it's not so bad.
I've been told it's gay to ask another man his age. Well, then forgive me, but I'm still going to ask it. How do I get, I wanted to bring that chat up. I don't know how this one came up. Oh, here it is. This is it. Viva, it's gay to ask a man his age. Just saying. I live dangerously, people. You served as a Marine. Were you deployed?
Yeah, I was a infantry Marine, so saw combat on both of my deployments to Afghanistan. Best time of my life. In hindsight, I have a lot of not regrets, but a lot of anger, animosity towards our political leadership at the time, as to why we were over there, et cetera, et cetera. But as far as when I was in the Marine Corps, the best group of men I've ever met in my life. Still to this day, very good friends with all those guys. They're my brothers, and loved my service to this country.
That is the question that that I've always had for people, especially was this was Iraq War II. So this is 2003.
No. So I was in Afghanistan. I enlisted in 2008. So I was in what they call OEF 2.0, which was like the second push through Afghanistan.
Operation Enduring Freedom 2.0.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm an idiot in terms of the math because you would have been too young in 2003. But okay, I'm an idiot.
No, I would have been 18. I turned 18, and the towers came down when I was a senior in high school. I wanted to enlist right away. I was actually going to go to the Naval Academy, and then I changed my mind stupidly over a girl. Biggest mistake in my life. Not that, I'm now happily married for 15 years but staying behind and not following that goal, and doing that because of a girl is just the dumb things that your parents tell you about, that you don't listen to them because you're smarter than them at the time. Yeah, that kind of thing. But I did end up enlisting in 2008 in the Marine Corps, took my ASVAB for the Army, and decided if you're going to be the best, you got to be the best.
What's an ASVAB?
It's like the test that you take to see how smart you are.
Okay.
I actually, people say Marines are dumb. That's a joke. We eat crayons and all that stuff. But I actually scored incredibly high. I was in like the 98th percentile, scored a 140, 143, I think, on my ASVAB. So very high. I could have done whatever I wanted to do, and I went and became a dumb grunt. Again, taking shots at myself here.
No, but you go and you fight these wars, and now the people that come back, I presume everybody that comes back is psychologically injured, if not physically. What goes into the healing that comes back, and the reintegration into civilian society? What goes into that, and what level of trauma are you dealing with, even as someone who might have, I don't know if you got physically injured, although psychologically is just as devastating sometimes. Like, what is the process of reintegrating into civilian society after that experience?
Yeah. So just to be clear, I'm not making fun of dumb grunts. Okay. Some of my infantry guys are the smartest people I know. It's just a joke.
It's a joke, and everybody gets it. If you don't get it, grow up and whatever.
Exactly. I was fortunate when I enlisted. I was 24 years old. I'd already owned a couple businesses at that point in my life. I'd had some college under my belt, and I was, pretty level-headed. I'd been on my own. I'd lived on my own. A lot of these kids that come out of high school at 18 years old, some 17 years old, and enlist, and they go off to war, they fight a war, and then they come out after their 4 years or whatever, however long it is. They have no idea what it's like to be a civilian outside of your parents' roof. And so that's something that kind of factors into how they, kind of become a private citizen again, a civilian. I didn't have as much of an issue with that. I mean, I still have PTSD from, some of the things we saw over there. I did tear all the ligaments in my shoulder, which is what forced me out of the Marine Corps. But overall, to be honest with you, the best thing that I did was cannabis. Cannabis was the best thing in the world for me as far as PTSD and being able to heal both physically and emotionally. That's what CannCon stands for, Cannabis Conservative, because I am a huge proponent of being able to use a plant that has never killed a single person in its life from overdose. And the idea that the government can regulate that while, you go to the VA and the first thing they want to do is put you on all these SSRIs and all these other antidepressants, who, by the way, their side effect is suicide and suicidal ideations.
Mm-hmm.
That's absurd to me. That was absolutely absurd to me. So I treat the VA like, a demilitarized zone. I stay the hell away from it. I want nothing to do with the VA. And so I started taking cannabis about 5 years ago. First time in my life. I was 30. I was 34.
I'm going to ask the prying questions, but smoking it with the THC for the because I never understood what the element in cannabis is that produces that effect. Is it the psychotropic effect, or is it the non-psychotropic element, the CBD versus THC?
Yeah, so CBD is typically what's non-psychotropic. That's going to have, good effects on all of it. First off, that plant has like 900 different chemical compounds in it that we don't even understand because we're not allowed to study. It's a Schedule I narcotic, and so you're not allowed to study a lot of the benefits that it can have on you. CBD is non-high. THC is what will get you high. I am a proponent of THC. Every single night I smoke, just about every single night. Sometimes during the day, There's two different strains. There's sativa and there's indica. And if you're trying to go to sleep at night, you smoke the indica. You can remember that by indica, because it'll knock you out. I mean, you'll have the best sleep of your life. And then sativa is more of a head high, where you're going to, for me, in my prior life, I was an artist. I was doing airbrushing and painting cars and motorcycles and stuff like that. And it would spark a ton of creativity. And, some people react differently. I'm able to function on a sativa, like no problem.
I'm trying to think back to my childhood. I don't think we drew the distinction between sativa and indica. And now I'm trying to think, like, hypothetically, Northern Lights, would that be sativa or would that be indica?
Oh, that's a good question. There's so many different strains.
I'm not. Now, all that to say, by the way, I have nothing against it. I not functional. If I already have like 1,000 thoughts a second, and when you have 1,000 thoughts a second and you think time has come to a full stop, that's 1,000,000 thoughts a nanosecond. And it's not, doesn't work well. Well, at least now we know where the CannCon is from. Yep. And so how did you, before we get into we'll get into the subject matter of the day, but how did you end up doing podcasting? And this was 2020 that led you down this path?
Yeah, so it was actually the summer of love, the riots and everything that were taking place, the COVID lockdowns, all that stuff. It kind of, I don't want to say weaponized me, because I don't like to think of that kind of sounds negative on the First Amendment. But what really got me going was the COVID lockdowns and everything around that. But then when I started seeing all of this crap taking place over the summer of 2020, and I saw all these people railing back against President Trump and, saying that it's all the Republicans' fault, and I started just trying to get out a message that a lot of these communities that this is taking place in are Democrat communities, and your local politics is going to have infinitely more impact on your life than anything you'll ever see from the federal government. And that's the way it should be. The federal government should have very little to do with your day-to-day life. And so, I was trying to get it out there that, hey, Minneapolis has had a Democrat mayor for the last 4 decades. Chicago, same thing. New York City, same thing. Other than Rudy Giuliani, there was that little blurb there where New York actually cleaned itself up quite a bit. But that was what I was trying to do. And then, of course, the 2020 election happened and everything went out the window at that point.
Now, here's what we're going to do, because I don't, and I'll post this entire thing. I'm not nervous about the election stuff on YouTube. I think they've loosened up, or at least rescinded some of the restrictions. Heads up to everybody, though. You may have noticed that the episode of David Icke on The Unusual Suspects that I was on yesterday on The Unusual Suspects, Patrick Bet David valuetainment thing, taken down. Because the guy says things, and I appreciate that he says things which are counter the YouTube terms of service, but that's only because the terms of service are absolute rubbish nonsense. But they pulled it. So while this comes up, VA is a government agency that, quote, cares, end quote, for vets, but the, quote, cares, end quote, side effects reduce the number of benefit receivers. Money leftovers are used to pay for illegal immigrants' medical treatment. It's actually, well, you know what? Everyone get over to Rumble. We're going to end this here now. That's the link. If you want to come straight over to Viva Barnes Law, we're gonna start talking about everything freely as we should. Here's locals with a typo, and we're gonna end this on YouTube right now. So come on over to YouTube, and otherwise find this on Viva Clips or over on Rumble, Viva Fry.